You'll never get to the boss. You gotta get through both of us.
Just you two?
What does it matter how many of us there is? You'll never make it to the boss. Cause you're gonna die right. Don't just stand there!
Alright, you next?
Looks like I'm talking about the grass sword today. Now this one is pretty interesting because it's honestly one of my favorite swords right behind the blood demon sword, so I'm really happy to talk about it. That being said, I should say that the character Fern will not be discussed within this video. This is due to the fact that although he is linked to the grass sword, he is not the grass sword itself, and I also feel as though he deserves his own video outright. With that being said, let's dive right into it. Now the grass sword is an incredibly powerful cursed item originally created by Grassy Wizard, who created it simply due to the fact that he thought it would be cool to possess a cursed object. However, he would eventually give it to Finn as a bargain just to get rid of it, and obviously to mess around with Finn, cause as Choose Goose says it, he is a huge dingwad. Now one thing that I need to make clear is that although the grass sword is incredibly powerful, its curse does have many downsides. One thing that's actually a major downside is due to the fact that the sword is sentient and has its own wants and desires which can actually conflict with its wielder. Due to the fact that it's a curse item, it has actively shown that it is incredibly malicious, with it having no problems killing individuals that even the wielder does not want to kill. Additionally, the blade is obsessed as well as flat out parasitic to its wielder. You see, the blade will immediately bind itself to whoever picks it up and utilizes it first. Because of this, it will always know your location. So if you ever decide to actually remove the sword, let's say you put it in the Sahara Desert and then leave via airplane, it will eventually track you down. Also, much like a crazy ex, it does not take rejection well. If you ever decide that you do not like the sword or you attempt to abandon it, it will torment you via nightmares. However, by far one of the biggest things and biggest cons about this sword is that it constantly wants to be you. I mean this figuratively, but also very literally. The blade will slowly replace your limbs and body parts with itself, and the more intense emotion you feel, either because of heartbreak or danger, the faster this happens. Now, we actually see this happen twice to Finn. The first time was when he attempted to stop Martin from leaving, and in doing so, the grass sword immediately transformed his entire right arm and shoulder into itself in order to give him a massive boost in stats. The other time is when he was under incredible emotional stress and ended up regrowing an entirely new arm, which was literally just a byproduct of the grass sword. But going back to that, there's also another ability I thought I should mention, which kind of adds on to the curse section. As we have already discussed, the sword is capable of finding you no matter where you are. However, if anything were to happen to it where it simply just can't find you again, such as being teleported to an entirely different dimension or section of space, then it has another option. If the original sword is unable to get back to you, then it can simply sprout a new flower which will eventually bloom into a new grass sword. This process takes an incredibly long time, however it seems that Citadel Guardian blood is able to speed up the process along with incredibly intense emotion. Now, if the sword actually ends up blooming on a location where it was ripped off, aka you lost some limbs, when the blade restores itself, it will actually completely regrow any lost limbs that were there originally. So basically, you are entirely stuck with this sword for the rest of your life under typical circumstances. Also, this is still not all the downsides, we have even more to cover. You see, not only will the curse slowly corrupt your body, but it will also slowly corrupt your mind. And to give you an idea of just how bad this corruption is, Finn, who is literally the embodiment of good, was corrupted to such a degree that he was willing to kill himself. It's also possible, but never stated, that depending on your own negative emotions, this could actually speed up the rapid decline of your own mental fortitude. Because by the time he basically decided to kill Finn in one of the most brutal ways, either by letting him starve to death or killing him personally, he actually ended up having incredible negative emotions based around himself. Now, currently, we only know of 2 ways to actually remove the curse. The first way is just to give it to someone else, but due to the fact that it literally binds to you specifically, unless you have another version of you from a different timeline, this just isn't gonna work. The other way is just to go in there and kill the curse yourself. The only problem is that this can prove to be incredibly difficult, and doing so will result in you losing the grass sword forever. Now you may be thinking, considering all of the downsides that I've just discussed, why would anyone want the grass sword? And the answer is simple. It is incredibly powerful. The grass sword is easily one of the most useful magic items that someone skilled with a sword could possibly have, as it grants you pretty much every single ability under the sun. One thing is that the grass sword is incredibly precise. What this basically means is that as long as it's in control, you will pretty much never miss a target. It does this by changing the course of the blade mid-swing in order to pretty much never miss. The form of the sword is also incredibly malleable. What this basically means is that you can shapeshift it into pretty much anything you can imagine, whether that be battle axes, bushes, trees, or any kind of natural occurrence in nature. Additionally, the blade has the very unique ability to regenerate from any damage that is actually done to it fully within the matter of seconds. It should also be noted that any limbs that are currently affected by the grass sword and its curse it can actively shapeshift and manipulate their size and strength. So if you have this sword and you are an incredibly skilled swordsman, you will be pretty much unstoppable for most foes. Lastly, I would like to dash a quick rumor. For some reason, there was a lot of people who believed that the grass sword had influence over your potential. This is not the case. It was never stated within the show, and as far as I'm concerned, this is pretty much just made up fan theorist hogwash. Anyway, that's all the information I have for this particular video. Thank you, Phil Swift, here for commissioning this video. I actually had a huge blast doing it. Be sure to like, subscribe, go to my other social media platforms, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!